Welcome to another OCD Recovery Instagram Live. I'm going to be doing a quick questions and answers on here for the next 10 minutes. Anything you want to know relating to OCD, any specific questions you have in relation to your OCD, anything about it, any themes, anything at all. Just put them in the comments at the bottom here and I will cover those now. Anything you want to see covered. Shirt isn't ironed very well, but I can accept it. I can accept this shirt hasn't been ironed and make peace with the fact. Now, any of the relationship OCD. Relationship OCD, I don't want to cover questions on a broad topic. I want to cover sort of specific questions, because questions that are sort of like, how do I get better from OCD is very broad. Or can you cover ROCD, existential OCD, any of that kind of stuff? It's a bit too broad to cover. So if you just try and make them more specific to your situation, I will have a look at those and get into that. Hi, would you be interested in working alongside the first ever mental health newspaper? For all, inquiries in relation to OCD Recovery Company, if you just email info@ocdrecovery.com, we will get back to you about that. Thanks for that. Tired after watching the boxing. I was in the last Instagram, but now I've had a shower and I'm up. I'm not feeling so bad now, so I'll be all right. But getting up at 6 in the morning here to watch that fight. It is a bit late. I do prefer it when they're over in the UK. Hopefully, the Fury Joshua fight will be in the UK. Bloody hope so. But it is looking doubtful. Dating someone with OCD. Advice. Dating someone with OCD has its ups and downs. Lots and lots of difficulties involved with any mental health disorder someone's going along with. But like with anything in life, life is not perfect. There's going to be ups and downs in all situations in life. So somebody that you're dating who's got OCD is, it's a treatable disorder. And if they're getting the right help and they're making progress working through that and doing the right things, then most of the time they should be functioning pretty fine. But there's some good things to know about it by being patient, understanding about reassurance, life structure, not sort of helping them partake in the day and doing lots of things if they're spending a lot of time lying down and so on. And in relation to exposures, facing fears and confronting things like that, all crucial parts of the OCD recovery journey. And time, patience, understanding that it's a disorder, it's not them, but at the same time having a sort of a tough love approach as I try and instill with families when dealing with OCD sufferers. Let me just plug this phone in because I don't want it to die in the middle of an Instagram live. 1 second. Okay, now I'll have to move over here. Let's get a chair, 1 second. Right. Okay, so does anxiety ever feel different depending on what's causing it? Yes, it moves around and changes, especially with generalized anxiety disorder. Generalized anxiety disorder it will move. It's going to have all varying symptoms, like the same as I used to get different symptoms from if I was where's my glasses? Not here. Is the same as when I used to get different anxiety symptoms with alcohol, different anxiety symptoms with different thoughts, variations with generalized anxiety disorder. OCD can be the same. Chronic guilt in relation to harm OCD kind of things, sensory motor OCD, different kind of sensations. So they can move around and be different in different scenarios. Let's have a look at this. You are in the middle of an OCD thought and you can't seem to get out of it. What's the best strategies for this? Well, stop trying to get out of it, for one. That's the problem. Stop trying to look for a tip and trick in that moment to quickly get rid of OCD. That's a large part of the problem that you've got there. You're definitely trying to do that. Definitely trying to, people often send me those kind of posts. Oh, Rob, how do I snap out of it? How do I get rid of it right now? That is the problem. It's about leaving it there, changing your perspectives on things, breaking down your irrational beliefs, but not trying to do it in that moment, not trying to force it away, fight it away, and battle it away in that second. Where does unconditional self-acceptance begin with anything like harm OCD and POCD? Well, at the end of the day, when you unconditional self-acceptance does exactly what it says on the tin. It applies to everything unconditionally, so that means everything. But to see that, it's not so easy. The books do cover it to some detail, but what we do in the coaching is specifically go into that, sort of really going in on all the different ways that OCD tries to latch in and coming underneath that so that it doesn't have a good hold. So I think that's really important to get in from any fear. Things like POCD is more tricky, so we have lots of different ways to do that to show you where you're thinking irrationally, because the only reason you're anxious or afraid is because of how you're thinking of it. So that does get under there. All humans are, any humans who commit any of these acts that we really do not like is only because of their genetics and environment. No child grows up and goes, "Miss, I want to be a mass murderer, a rapist." Those things happen due to genetic and environmental factors that come into play. So it's having a good understanding of how that is the case and working through that. Move over here actually. How old was I when I figured out what sensory motor OCD was? About 23, I think. Should someone in a relationship with someone who has OCD be giving them reassurance? Never. Never. You should never be doing reassurance. It's never the answer. But obviously, it will take them a little bit of time to wean off that if they've got into a habit of doing it a long time. But you definitely do not want to be involved in that. You're doing them no favours. Families that are involved in reassurance, you're doing your children no favours, and relationships the same. Does having Asperger's and ADHD affect OCD differently? It can make OCD recovery more challenging, as can other combined disorders like generalized anxiety disorder, PTSD, bipolar, and so on, but doesn't mean it isn't possible. Is putting off an engagement an excuse, or can it be a symptom of the OCD? Putting off an engagement is often an OCD situation because you're trying to it's a kind of avoidance, trying to get out of it to feel comfortable or not have to confront something. Often it can be that case. I have quite a few people asking me how I'm doing. How should I explain it to them? Tell them about OCD, point them to this page, for example, so they can have an understanding. I've got a video that's for parents and families. You'll find it on my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't, and you can see all about families and friends, but then there's loads of other resources online that will give you a good explanation of that. Any last questions you want to ask? Because I've got to go because I have a call in a minute. So I'll just answer one or two more questions if you want to send them across now. I wouldn't have got a very good Instagram live response at 6 a.m. this morning if everyone was watching the fight. I certainly wouldn't have been on here whilst watching the fight. I wouldn't want it to do that. Let's have a look here. Any last questions? What's the difference between reassurance and letting loved ones know what's going on? You can let them know what's going on, but if you're compulsively telling them all the time about what's going on to try and get a feeling of safety, a feeling of security, then that's becoming a reassurance compulsion, a kind of confession. Is it normal to wake up and then remember all the intrusive thoughts, images you've had previously and be haunted by? Of course it is. It's not going to forget about it. Your brain remembers what's a threat, so it will see that and keep it there. Is it common that hard period in life can start OCD? I got my first intrusive thought half a year ago. Today I can barely look at my children without getting images. Yes, a hard period of life can possibly trigger it, but in terms of the children, I imagine it's all in relation to sort of some kind of POCD or harm OCD, so they are the trigger, so that's why you're feeling that. Will I do a video solely on sensory motor? Yes, I will do it. How can you tell the difference between OCD and a real one? Well, there's no way you'll be able to get certainty to get relief from OCD where you'll be able to prove to yourself that it's definitely not real and it's OCD. You'll never be able to get certainty like that. As Voltaire says, certainty is absurd. It's not achievable. You won't be able to do that. I chased that for many, many years. That is not the way around it. Changing relationship with OCD, changing relationship with intrusive thoughts, getting comfortable with uncertainty, unconditional self-life and other acceptance as laid out by the founder of CBT, Albert Ellis, through the workings of the Stoics and the Greek and Roman philosophers that laid out all of this, which is the formations of CBT, is the way to go, is the way to look at things and break it down. It takes a lot of practice, takes a lot of time and a lot of understanding, but you will get there. Just have to keep going one day at a time. On that note, guys, I've got to go. I will speak to you later on this Instagram Live. Maybe I'll do another one later, and I'll speak to you then. See you later.